Hey folks, okay, she'll be streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. Coming up in 9 minutes, folks, 9 minutes. So if you're watching an archive version, you might want to fast forward. Ben Walker from UKIP's NEC is popping on tonight to talk about the FARAGE effect with the new Brexit Party. And we'll doubtless be talking a bit about Brexit too. And if you want to call in, please do. Going to be taking calls from 5:30, so in about 35 minutes, give or take. So if you want to give us a shout, please do on gov.ly/rant. But yeah, okay, cool. Thanks very much indeed for popping in, folks. Great to see you, and let's have a good show. I'll catch you in about 8-9 minutes. All right, okay, ciao. Copyright free, yeah, Facebook. Copyright free music. Lisa Fudgy Foods is saying, I'm listening on the bus.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
But I promise you that
3-4 minutes, people. 3-4 minutes. Yeah. Hey, Ben, can you hear me?
I can, mate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. Just a couple of minutes, sir. Hey, Ben, if you've got video, you can use it if you like, and I'll embed it. Just your call, sir. Your call.
Yeah. Okay. How do I do that?
Well, if you want to do that, then I'll cut. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's it. Great. Oh yeah, looking very good, sir. Thank you. You know, I apologise. This music's absolutely dreadful. Just a few seconds. In fact, you know what? That'll do. Hey, folks. Good evening, good people. Welcome to the Daily Brexit. Holding democracy to account, fighting for self-determination, and exposing plutocracy. I'm Olly Connelly. Thanks for turning up. Aye, me and a cold. And now, FARAGE versus UKIP. What does the Brexit Party mean for UKIP, and what may it mean for Brexit? UKIP's NEC member Ben Walker is popping political right here, right now, and I'm very grateful to him because we did try this on Monday and went tits up with the tech. So we're having another go. Please, by all means, call in on Discord from the bottom of the hour. So in about 28 minutes time, something like that, give us a shout at gov.ly/rant. If you want to ask Ben a question, and see you in the comments. Yeah, please support the show, share the show, all that. Yeah. Let folks know we're talking, we're watching, we're thinking. We are active, people. Okay, all right. Okay, that's enough of that. I kind of need to change that intro. Right, Ben Walker, good evening, sir. Thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Hi, how are you?
I appreciate it very much. It was a bit of a nightmare the other day on Monday. I hope it's going to be a bit easier on us than it was the other day, but we will try again. So yes, let's go through first of all some of what is going on in the world of fake stream, and just have a quick look. I'll give you a bit of a flavour of the day. The Express this evening is leading on.
Just maybe put this to an audience vote.
Hold on. Is leading on EU's backlash at Britain. Brussels to sue UK. London accused of breaking bloc rules. Brussels has referred Britain to the European Union's highest court as a long-running dispute over tax breaks for commodities traders in London erupts. The European Commission believes Britain has done little to amend what it deems to be unfair tax breaks since first raising the issue in 2015. Okay, go on. Ben, they're very good at bending the rules according to who they like at the time, aren't they? The EU, it seems to me.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? They kind of, they'll turn their guns on whoever they want, whenever they want. It does seem that way to me too, Ollie.
Salvini has said so just recently because, of course, they've been given a very hard time in Italy wanting to end austerity there and taking a course of action that they feel is best for their electorate. But the EU didn't like that, of course. And but on the other hand, is allowing Macron to do exactly the same off the back of the yellow protests, the yellow vest protesters. No.
It really is. I mean, you know as well as anybody else. I mean, if the UK is to leave the EU, and hopefully we very much do, it really is a house of cards that's going to fall down. And I think that's why the EU are really trying to play hardball with this, because there are countries, and you wouldn't know about it because of the mainstream media, but they're lining up to leave. You know, there's really unhappy nations out there.
You do subscribe to the train of thought that it is a house of cards ready to fall if Brexit happens, or even if it doesn't?
I struggle to see how it would continue with one of the largest contributors pulling out. It would have to change the way it does business completely, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely makes sense. Going on a slightly different track in the news, and then we'll be coming back to this subject, I dare say. Breitbart, leading with German intelligence used Antifa research to build a case against populists. The Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution in Germany have been accused of relying on information from the far-left extremist Antifa movement to build their case for surveilling the populist Alternative for Germany party. I'm curious, Ben, do you think that UKIP receives this kind of interest from MI5 just out of interest?
I mean, that's all hypothetical. I mean, people seem to think that there is a train of thought that we have had interest like that, and I'm not sure. I mean, I've never seen any evidence of anything like that, but I'm sure these sneaky beakies have got an eye on pretty much everybody, so I wouldn't write it off.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it makes you wonder because the establishment is absolutely petrified of what they call populism. I don't really like the way that they use the word populism because pop means people, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I'm still struggling with that word myself. I don't truly understand the meaning or the use of populism. But no, I do understand that. I mean, obviously they're worried about any kind of organised revolt against them, aren't they? So they're gonna do their utmost to try and do that down or cause it issues.
That actually leads us perfect segue into tonight's topic, really, because one could argue that that's what the Brexit Party is all about. Now, I may be wrong here, yeah, but I do have a bit of a theory that, frankly, that this is a controlled opposition party that's been brought in to rule the populists in the UK. I don't know that you would go so far as me on the conspiratorial route. What do you think?
So we're talking about the new Brexit Party.
Yeah, that's right. FARAGE is leading this party as we understand it now. Is there a possibility that this party has been brought in to try and scupper UKIP, which, given that the Tories and Labour have failed spectacularly so far to deliver on their manifesto pledges to honour the will of the British people in that referendum? Given that, it seems to me that UKIP is well poised, or was well poised, possibly even to slot into a coalition off the back of the next general election with 2 or 3 seats, or who knows. But with the Brexit Party there now, is that not scuppered? Am I just a ridiculous conspiracist fruitcake here, or what? I don't know.
No, possibly in the nicest way, Ollie. I don't know, to be honest, because I think, again, there is a train of thought there which you could completely understand. I mean, why would you go out of your way to set up a new Brexit Party when there kind of already is one that's been knocking around for a few years, and it seems to have ended up as kind of a battle of characters and disgruntled people that have wanted to set up the Brexit Party, and I completely understand why. But the problem is that, you know, the way that I see it, if we go back a little bit with Brexit, the reason that the Brexiteers, if you like, are having so much trouble in selling the arguments now is because essentially when we won the referendum, we gave up. That was it then. But the Remainers have carried on, and we have been fragmented. Well, to be fair, Cameron fragmented us prior to the referendum with all these nonsense groups setting up and, you know, haggling for money and stuff like that. But we've been fragmented since then, and I think even now, we you know, that as time has elapsed, we've got even worse. So I do understand why there is a train of thought to say, well, you know, this is really going to do it, because it isn't going to help. I know that Nigel didn't set it up, but obviously Nigel has said he's supportive of it, which it's just not helpful. You know, we really need to rally around one group. And again, I understand why some of the arguments have been raised, and members have been upset with the direction of travel that maybe UKIP is taking. But even still, our core message is Brexit, and we really should be shouting from the rooftops about that. And we need all the support we can get to make sure that it actually happens. And the problem is, without an effective UKIP, you don't really have an effective Tory party or even Labour Party, because they can renege on all the things that they promise, and they can kind of do what they want like they've done before. You need someone snapping at their heels.
Let me ask you then, first of all, for anybody that missed the beginning of the show on Monday, and even if they didn't, it was breaking up so badly that I guess you couldn't make head nor tail of it. Let me ask you firstly then, for anybody that isn't quite sure, what is the reason for Farage's support of the Brexit Party, as you understand? Why is he now saying, you know what, I've had it with UKIP?
I think it's a situation whereby, and this is just the way that I see it, of course. This is nobody else's opinion. This is just mine. This is just my observations. But I would say that it's about characters. I mean, obviously there is a lot of ready and available knowledge about the relationship between him and Gerard. You know, they don't get on. They have different political views, and that's fine. I mean,
has that always been the case? Has that always been the case, Ben, between those two?
As far as I understand it, it's always been a little bit sort of difficult, but I can't say. I mean, I've not known them for as long as they've known each other. So Brexit
is so much bigger than any of us individually. I mean, you would think that these, if you like, pioneers in the struggle for Brexit would set their personal concerns aside and get on with the job at hand, which surely is to secure.
I absolutely agree with that, and I absolutely think that, to his credit, in all the years that Gerard has been involved in UKIP, he has actually done that. He's been a loyal party member, and he's done what's needed. And he took, he's, to be honest, I mean, when it comes to Brexit, he's the number one person in the party on the matter. Period. That's it. But I think that there is a problem with the characters, and Nigel has obviously come out and he's really pulled no punches, and obviously Gerard has responded, rightly or wrongly, and then obviously the situation has blown up and Nigel's walked, and we're at where we're at. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the real reasons. I mean, I know what Nigel said in the press, but in my own opinion as well, it might be one of control. You know, he's in the party, but he doesn't really have any control over it, any influence anymore. That started to diminish as UKIP sort of morphs and changes to move forward. Could be that too. Who knows?
So, okay, maybe a bit of a mix. How much of it is an ego thing? It's impossible to say, probably. But
yeah.
But he has cited Tommy Robinson as being an issue. The bottom line, though, is that Tommy Robinson speaks for a lot of people that feel they haven't had representation for decades. Is it unreasonable of Gerard Batten to bring these folks into the party? Are the politically homeless people?
I don't think it's unreasonable. I think one of the main problems with it is that it's completely untested. So it's revolutionary, isn't it, if you like? I mean, the jury is out. I mean, the problem with Tommy is that whilst I completely agree with many of the things that he says, it's the fact that it's him and some of the issues that come with him. And I don't know that as a party we know how to sort of navigate that situation yet. So I completely understand the problems and the issues and the feelings that members have. I mean, I share them. You know, I'll be quite honest, and I have been quite honest about that. I'm not sure how you progress forward and how we manage this situation, and even if it's the right thing to do anyway. But you're quite right to say that there are millions of people out there who feel completely misrepresented or underrepresented, not even represented. And that is a problem, and we must be speaking up for them. No matter how we do it, we've got to do it, but we've got to do it right. You know, we've got to be a mainstream party, and we've got to be electable. We are a political party and a political force, you know, first and foremost, before anything else. So we've got to be mindful of that, you know, and we don't want to go down the road of becoming more of a rally kind of street protest movement. I mean, I don't think that's what a lot of people have signed up for.
Yeah, no, sure. Absolutely. Do you think that Batten has moved away a little bit too far from the Brexit issue then? And if you like, muddied the waters by talking about Islamists? Not Islam as such, but Islamists, I think it's fairer to say, no?
I think it's completely fair to say that, you know, radical Islam has always been one of Gerard's hot topics, if you like, you know, something that he spent a lot of time researching and reading about. And does speak well on it. He's very knowledgeable. I think he's never taken his eye off the ball on Brexit. Like I said, you know, slightly earlier, he's our best person on the matter. End of. You know, I won't have anybody else say that they are better than Gerard when it comes to Brexit. So I think it's the same old situation with the mainstream media. They will lead you in the direction that they want to. So they have decided now that they're not really going to bother to speak to UKIP about anything else other than Islam, because they know Gerard's got some strong opinions on it. And that's one of the problems we face. And you, Ollie, you know better than anybody the problems with mainstream media and
absolutely.
How not to manage it, I don't know.
Well, the mainstream media hates UKIP, clearly. I mean, but for example, there's a story today. One of your fellow NEC colleagues, I'm afraid, put out a post. I'll show it on the screen now. Put out a post on Facebook saying that they were, I don't know, not very happy over something or other. I'm not quite sure what, to be honest with you. But Guido jumped all over it and basically pretty much called her a fruitcake. UKIP director, this is Guido Fawkes, UKIP director and NEC member Katie Fanning has published a bizarre post on her personal Facebook profile claiming that a secret court is trying to lock me away like Melanie Shaw. Shaw is a name often referenced by Tommy Robinson supporters who promote a bonkers conspiracy theory that she has been locked up by the government for speaking out against child abuse. Now, I want to make a couple of points on this story, actually, that I see written here by Guido, because your tone is outrageous. Your tone is absolutely disgusting. It really is. For a start, there are many people that are genuinely very concerned about Melanie Shaw and feel that she perhaps has been locked away because of some of the things that she could reveal about VIP paedophilia. for example. But quite aside from that, because we cannot be sure of the truth, my point to you, Ben, is that Guido, for example, and Guido is I think pretty representative of the media generally. They do tend to refer to UKIP still as being a fruitcake type party. How can you get rid of this description as a party? Because it apparently hasn't quite worked yet. I thought you were beginning to, but the media it seems absolutely intent on ravaging UKIP as best it can.
It does seem that way, and you can have the smallest kind of matters with people in UKIP or whatever, and it gets blown out of all proportion if the media get hold of it. I don't know what the answer is to that. I mean, since I joined UKIP, back in 2011 or whatever it was, it's always been the case whereby if you're saying something which people don't really have an argument against and they can't formulate any sort of response, they'll just call you a racist because you have strong views on migration, or they'll say you're a nutter and a fruitcake. But generally, all of the things that UKIP talk about are real things. And like you said earlier, we represent people. We are people. We have our views. Now, why are we immediately called nutters, and mad if we say that? I mean, Melanie, there was a real issue around Melanie Shaw, and I think one of the reasons that people are, coming up with sort of stories and stuff like that is because we actually don't know anything about it. There seems to be this kind of wall built around the whole situation in the case, and that is a problem in itself. I mean, that again, UKIP are anti-establishment. We hate stuff like that, but it is happening. There is a problem with that, and again, if Katie has got a grievance and if she's upset and she believes something, well, why can't she say that? It's perception at the end of the day anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it has to be. I hope Katie Fanning is all right, because I read what she put on her Facebook page as well, and it did look a bit worrying. But Guido are just ridiculing her, and actually it may be a bit more serious than to do that, frankly. To continue what they say here, while Fanning's vague post reads like the ramblings of a loon, from what Guido can make out, it could well be similar to the situation other alt-right British figures have fallen into in recent years. She probably attempted to report on criminal proceedings whilst reporting restrictions were in place. So I don't know why that's an alt-right British problem as opposed to alt-left. Maybe because, I don't know, people more on the right are interested in justice? I don't know. Anyway. It's the bias that was the issue there, but I hope that Katie Fanning is all right as well. Take a few comments, Ben, and then doubtless there will be some questions in here for you, sir. Thomas White is just saying good evening, everyone. And Kezi Mac, what about this TPRP party that's contacting people on Facebook asking us to help? Who are they? TPRP. TPRP? Does that ring any bells to you, Ben?
No. Sorry.
No, nor me, to be honest with you. Anyway, Kazi, if you can give us a link, that'd be great. Thomas White, a letter to all MPs and our PM. Please share and add your name. So I will leave that in the comments there, because doubtless that would take me a long time to read that out. Jason Tyler from wakeupuk.net. Oh, blimey, I tell you, the comments are flying off here. I'm losing the comments at the top of the page. PJ Tansley, Brexit Party will only quicken the Labour SNP coalition next to come. You will see no deal taken off the table, and Jacob Rees-Mogg will be the one that makes that happen. Despite all he says, he has no alternative but to back government all the way. Okay, Ben. Okay, look, more open question here. First of all, do you see Brexit? That's the question.
Sorry, I lost you then.
No.
Said, do you see Brexit? And I didn't hear anything else.
Yeah, no, that's it. Do you see, from what you see at the moment, do you see Brexit?
Well, if I'm really honest about it, I think at best, I think what we see Brexit doing next is being deferred. That's how it's looking to me. It seems that we are going to be in a situation where Theresa May is going to be forced, probably by Parliament, to defer it. So then actually, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there are some real snakes within Parliament who will do everything they can to stop this process. So who knows? I mean, I really hope that it happens, and obviously I'll go on, and the party will fight in tooth and nail to make sure that it does. But at the moment, it seems to me like it's just going to be stalled.
You think that they will get away with extending Article 50? That seems to be the course of action, I guess.
I think so. I mean, the things that I'm reading and seeing, I mean, I can't see any other way of them doing that. The legislation they've got to get through for a no deal Brexit, they don't have the time. They purposely run the clock down as much as they can. This is all by design. This is the situation we find ourselves in, and I think we are staring down the barrel of some sort of deferment. Theresa
May, she has stood up in the Commons over 75 times, I know that, and said that we will get Brexit. There will be Brexit. There will either be this deal. Well, she says there will be the Brexit. And then she says there will be this deal or there will be no deal. Well, in my opinion, this deal is not Brexit at all. But she says we will get Brexit. Do you not trust her? You don't believe her?
Not really. I mean, we've seen her plan A wasn't Brexit, then her plan B isn't really Brexit. So, I mean, she's yet to tell me what her idea of Brexit is. I mean, let's be honest.
Brexit means Brexit.
Brexit, exactly. I mean, it really isn't as complicated as people have made it out. And even, when the referendum campaign was going on, there are video clips of even David Cameron saying, it means leaving the customs union. It means leaving. It was clear what people were voting for. I think it's disingenuous of parliamentarians to say otherwise. They didn't know. They didn't understand. I'm pretty sure that people did. And, if she doesn't deliver on it, then there's going to be a whole level of issues of which I couldn't second guess.
Okay, all right. We've got Marianne Walters. I like UKIP's manifesto and think Gerard Batten is doing a brilliant job. I will not be supporting Farage. I think starting a new party is very divisive and wonder what his real intention is. I wouldn't trust him not to resign again. I don't think that's Marianne Walters from Britain First. His spelling is slightly different there. Amanda Thompson. That's an internal conversation there in the comments. Chris Ford says UKIP must stop echoing the public's fears. Genuine, nevertheless. Without power, no party outside Parliament can't do anything. Get seats first is paramount. And that is the problem, is it not, with the Brexit Party, with Farage at the helm, Ben? Because they will split this vote at the one time when UKIP really genuinely could get a good count at the next general election, with so many people being so fed up of Lib Lab Con, no?
Yeah, I can't read the situation properly as to why he thinks this is the right thing to do. I mean, he must know as well that internally within the party, he has lost quite a lot of support in the way that he backed Henry Bolton. He left, he came back, all of this stuff, and he used to be untouchable, but now he isn't within UKIP, and he has lost lots of support. So I think if he does eventually get involved with this party and he does stand, I'm not stupid. I'm pretty sure that he would take people from UKIP, and that's dangerous. That's not good. But it won't be as many people as he thinks. So maybe his thinking is that he's going to try and mop up disaffected Tory and Labour supporters through this whole Brexit process. Again, I'm not sure. But then if you look at UKIP in 2015, at our best ever result in a general election, just under 4 million votes. And how many seats did that result in? Yeah, and he's going to split that down. So it's very hard for me to see how this is going to work and how it's not going to damage UKIP's vote, and how he is going to extract a good vote that's actually going to result in seats for him. I'm struggling to see it.
What about the rest? And by the way, the TPRP stands for the People's Revolutionary Party. Thanks to a few folks for that, including Baron Pauli von Kasselberg. Thank you. And in fact, I'm supposed to be bringing that guy onto the show to have a chat, and I just realised that. So excuse me. Full of cold people, yeah. I've got Stephen on Discord, and one or two other folks coming into the green room on Discord. if you want to ask Ben a question, please do. Just a few minutes from that, and just take a few more comments in the meantime. Paula Allen asks, who can trust a leader who is willing to go to the press about his own party? Gail Marie Gandhi says, because of everything I've learned over the last 3 years, I can't bring myself to vote again. I wonder, Ben, what... I mean, we surely, if all the various problems we need to solve that we want to solve in British politics, none of them can be solved until we have really a populist party, to use that word, in Westminster. Finally, to remind those politicians in Westminster what democracy actually is, what representation actually is.
That's right.
Do we not need to be able to achieve some of these seats, whatever our political affiliation? Do we not need these parties on the so-called right? And I say so-called because I hate these bloody labels personally. People that care about their country and getting Brexit. Do we not need to get these parties somehow to team up together? Is that possible? Am I just being completely naive?
I don't know about naive. I mean, it's a great idea, and actually, you know, it should kind of be happening, but it hasn't. And like I say, you know, the whole sort of Brexiteer side of the argument is really fractured, and I don't know how you bring these people together. And that is probably our biggest problem as a campaigning side of the argument, if you like. We're not united. Even within parties, we're not united. It's a very strange set of circumstances. I don't know if that's because when you end up in parties like mine, you know, you are a bit of a free thinker and you're happy to sort of disagree all the time. I'm not sure, but I don't know what the answer is. There's no silver bullet. I wish there was.
Okay, Amin Ahmoud says if we don't get Brexit, then the Lisbon Treaty kicks in and we are screwed. Do you see that is a possibility, Ben, through the machinations and this deal that May wants to put together?
I've read quite a bit of stuff about that recently, and whereby there is obviously a really strong argument to use that as a function. If it didn't, it's not about functions, is it? This isn't about the legality of Parliament and what they should and what they shouldn't do and the rules and regulations. This is about political will, and we don't, unfortunately, have enough political will in the Houses of Parliament for a WTO Brexit. We don't, and it doesn't matter what legislation, bit of paper or rule you are referring to. If you don't have that, they'll do everything they can to make what they want happen, or not happen.
Nico Schofield says too many MPs are pro-EU. They need deselecting for betraying their constituents. What are your thoughts on that, Ben?
Well, I mean, that's again, that would be down to obviously the party, whatever is the federation, the branch, whoever chooses, selects the candidates. I mean, I know, I mean, in my area, I know that there's a lot of unhappy members, grassroots members of the Conservative Party who are upset with their parliamentarians because they're not following what the grassroots believed in, you know. So I'm sure that there could be issues on that front where candidates aren't reselected by their members, but obviously it's nothing that we have any control over. We just don't, you know. That's internal matters for each party, isn't it?
A large part of the problem, though, is it not? Is the electorate, people, us? We are all conditioned in one way or another, but we are all conditioned, all of us, to a greater or lesser extent. In terms of party politics, I mean, it has been a running joke for decades and decades. You know, your party political affiliation, slightly less so these days, but nonetheless, you stick a red rosette on a donkey in certain areas, or on a blue rosette on a donkey in others, and the Tory or the Labour guy will get the vote, irrespective. It's just, we're almost on a losing battle, are we not? Because that's what the establishment wants, the status quo, duopolistic politics, if you like, and the media is completely happy to go along with that. How on earth can we get out of this rut?
Yeah. I mean, I'm an advocate for PR. I think our voting system needs to change. A huge supporter of that. Something has to change for that to change. You're very right to say that, you know, in some respects, you can go in certain areas and they'll always vote one way, and it's kind of tribal almost, and it's learned behaviour. You know, parents voted in one way, so the kids do, and so on and so forth. And I think that has started to change over time, because obviously, you know, UKIP has had some success. So I think it is changing, but it will change very slowly, which is why we need to change our system. But again, we face the problem of a two-party state where they are happy with the status quo. You know, Tories are happy that they've got, you know, blue rinsers, if you like, sorry to offend anyone, but voting for them. And, you know, Labour have got sort of, you know, radical lefty, I don't know, do-gooders sort of voting for them. I don't know how we get through that other than fighting for electoral reform.
Okay, all right. Well, that I have to say, personally, so far as this show is concerned, electoral reform is the biggest concern, in my opinion. It wasn't. When Daily Brexit started, it was about Brexit. But now it's not, is it? It's about democracy. No,
I think, you know, Brexit, you know, has to happen, and if it doesn't, there's going to be serious repercussions if that does not happen. But if Brexit happens, the problem with Brexit is that it won't solve all the problems. It's the start of the process. But there are many things that we've got to look at, you know, and the House of Lords for one of them. Like we said, electoral reform, you know, big issues that have got to come after Brexit.
Okay, we've got a couple of folks on Discord. I don't know if you can hear me, Stephen 2372. Is that your dog there, Ben? Is that your dog?
No.
Okay, all right. That's somebody on Discord. Stephen, can you hear me? Nope, you can't. And we've got Hercules on Discord too. Hercules, can you hear me?
Yes, you can hear it, can you?
Good evening, Hercules.
No, I think it's my dog.
Ah, Stephen.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, indeed. And I think Ben can as well. What would you like to ask, sir? Stephen? No, he's gone quiet now. Oh, blimey. Stephen, can you hear me? We're doing well here, aren't we? Right, okay. Nigel Eli says, agree. The MEP elections are run on PR, so Farage thinks he has a chance in keeping his job. What area will he stand? You know, actually, that's a very good... Stephen, yes, can you hear me? Stephen, can you hear me? Stephen, for crying out loud. Okay, Ben, I've got a question for you. What is UKIP doing in preparation or not for the May elections, the Euro elections, given that
I can hear you.
we might...
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Blimey. Right, a bit of chaos, or a bit of tech chaos. You've got to have a bit of tech chaos in the show, haven't you? Stephen, the reason that you can hear me, I think, is because you can hear me on the browser tab as opposed to on Discord. So you need to mute your browser and you need to turn the volume up on Discord. And I hope you can manage to do that, sir. Right, Ben, so, yeah, are there preparations underway for possible MEP candidates, given that it doesn't look as though we're going to get Brexit yet?
There have been discussions about obviously potential MEP elections. There's no plans for them as yet, but the party are well aware that there could be. It's the party's view that if there are elections, and obviously we should stand in them. But there's no official plans yet. The party's main focus is obviously candidates for the May locals. Okay, all right. I understand the latest on Yvonne Fletcher's deal. Do I mean Yvonne Fletcher? Yeah, the Blairite. Yvonne Cooper. Yvonne Fletcher was the PC who was at the embassy 30 odd years ago. No, Yvonne Cooper. I understand the latest with her amendment. What she is gunning for is a 9-month extension, just to put the flesh on the bones of that story. King Flynn, can you hear me on Discord? We're doing well here. And Hercules, we've got Hercules here too. Can you hear me on Discord? Oh, no.
And Stephen, can you hear me? Yeah. Discord is can be a pain for people first time around. Oh, blimey. Okay. Right, Chris Rumbold, Lisbon Treaty screws us down for the next few generations. We must get out now. Ben, I'll come back to this Lisbon Treaty because it's very, very concerning what Lisbon does sign us into. But surely May's deal does take us away from the Lisbon Treaty, provided we are released by presumably our masters, because they've got a veto over our future. Is that a fair way of looking at it?
Pretty much. That's the way that I would see it, yeah.
Nico Schofield, Labour are dead in my town, Rotherham. They will never see this seat again. Bob Stroud, divide and rule, Ollie, red or blue. James Paul, I am unbanned, people. Hello all. Hello, James. And Stuart Firth says, UKIP Wales leader Neil Hamilton calls out the apocalyptic no-deal predictions of Project Fear. Well, I mean, so far as Project Fear is concerned, Ben, I think it's fair to say that it's all been completely ridiculed, has it not? I mean, we are actually doing very, very well as a country, relative to EU nation states. Is there anything that we should be particularly alarmed about? Should we be alarmed that Dyson has gone off to Malaysia?
No, I mean, everyone talks about a global economy, don't they? And, if a guy is... he can produce his products cheaper elsewhere to sell to probably his biggest market is here anyway. So people are benefiting from his product here. I know that a lot of the research and development happens. In fact, all of it happens here anyway, and I think that's staying. It's a global market, isn't it? Isn't that what getting out of the EU is all about?
Yeah. Okay. Paul Hart, why destroy other countries with mass immigration for cheap labour? We can get the rich to do the crappy jobs, so I can appreciate their wealth. And we've got Baxter here who says that I put my name forward, he says, for the vacant MEP positions. There's one or two folks in the comments, I have to tell you, and Ben, that are not too impressed with maybe your treatment of Henry Bolton. Do you feel that there was anything untoward there, or do you think that you're, I don't know, getting trolled or what?
Could potentially be both. I had a view, and I still have a view. And if you look at my record in terms of UKIP and my loyalty to the party, I'm still here. I'm still here and supporting it. Many people that failed in leadership elections have gone. They've used the Tommy Robinson thing as another reason to go. I'm still here. The reason that I went after, if you like, or was the first to speak against Henry Bolton, is because I knew how bad that situation was going to be for us. And how bad was it? And to be honest, I was proven right recently when his partner did another story in the paper saying that, he wore her knickers to the NEC meeting where they were going to decide if they were going through with the vote of no confidence. He didn't take any of it seriously. He said he finished with her. He didn't. He lied about everything. So it was right for the party. I can't prove it, but I know that I feel that if he was still in charge now, UKIP would be done. It would be pretty much over financially and in terms of membership. With Henry at the helm, we were losing up to 1,500 members a month. That couldn't have been sustained. We had to do something, and luckily we've got Gerard in, and the ship is steadied. And I don't regret that decision. And I know it won't please everybody, but that's how I see it.
Okay. And do you think that Gerard is a good contender to be leader off the back of what is it, May, or is it going to be June now? When
end
does...
of May, I think.
Right.
I think it starts. That's what we decided. Yeah.
So how quickly would there be an election after? When does Gerard's tenure, as he's acting leader, isn't he? When does his tenure end? How does it work?
He's not. He's not actually acting leader. He is the leader. So he was effectively elected unopposed almost a year ago for a 4-year term. But what Gerard did say is that he would only stand for a year and then he would reassess the situation, which is what he's doing essentially. So that's why he has agreed to have a leadership election following the May locals.
Right.
And sorry, to answer your question as well, is he a strong contender? Well, yes. He has a good record in terms of being leader thus far. He has a very strong stance, and he's done a good job, and I don't think anybody can take that away from him. There are certain aspects that I maybe did disagree with, but in the round, he has done a good job, and we are secure as a party, and a lot of that is down to Gerard engaging with the membership, and the membership coming good again and saving our skin.
And you think that despite this internal question about Tommy Robinson?
What? So in spite of the question, I still think Gerard's doing a good job.
Yes.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, our membership has grown. We are now officially back in the black, quite comfortably as well.
Yeah.
So as an election fighting body, we are in good order. And there's things that obviously there's still work we need to do, but Gerard has to take some credit for that. Yeah. He has steadied the ship when we needed to. If Bolton was still at the helm, we would be at the bottom of the sea right now.
Okay, all right. Thomas White, I tried to get on Discord. I seen who was in the green room, but I could not hear anything. Well, Thomas, try again, mate. Try again, and we'll try you. We've got Hercules here, and we've got Stephen here too. Can you hear me, Hercules or Stephen? Because if you've tried to call in, and I'd like to hear what you got to say. If you but can't hear anything that you're saying. Right. Okay. So what about you, Ben? Is there any possibility that you would be running for the leadership again, coming up at the next opportunity?
It's something that people have spoken to me about. I haven't made any decision one way or the other, so I have an open mind to it. But I've made no firm decision. No, not yet.
Do you think that Gerard would be challenged when there is a leadership election? Sorry, what is the timescale actually for the election now then?
So it's basically once it's called, you have 90 days to complete effectively.
Right. And so the actual, let me get this right, because I understand that Gerard, yes, he said he was going to be the acting leader for a year. Then I understand that he has extended it slightly to allow for the EU Euro elections.
Correct.
Which, as I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, is a pragmatic decision from the party, from the NEC, to try and cover that time, which is, if you like, a politically sensitive time. Is that correct?
Well, not so much the European elections. What we wanted to make sure that we had a leader in post for Brexit, if you like.
Yep.
And also we didn't want to change the leadership before the local elections. That wouldn't,
right.
that isn't good. So we had to obviously talk Gerard around and get him to extend slightly to get us through that period and then run the process of a leadership election. Do I think he'll be challenged? From what I understand, probably, and that's not me either, but probably yes. So there will be an election, and Gerard is yet to decide whether he stands or not. He's not sure. So,
okay, all right. We've got Stephen and Hercules have both left and tried to get back onto Discord. So, gentlemen, if you can, or ladies, or if you want to try, anyway, fine. Dyson isn't the best seller in the UK, though, is he? Says Amanda Thompson. Nico Schofield, 150,000 Labour members have not renewed their membership. The party is skint. Grassroots have walked away. Labour are finished. And, I mean, it really, Ben, I mean, this is a huge point, is it not? Is that the Labour Party, the Tory Party, both of them are looking so flaky. in the light of the democracy that we kind of hope for as voters. And that is a massive opportunity for UKIP, is it not?
I believe it is. It is a huge opportunity, but I think what we've also got to be mindful of is that politics is changing, and I think it's not. The Tory Party used to have a huge membership. Now they've got less than the Caravan Club, but and it's the same with Labour. It's not something that people do now. They don't tend to join political parties. The thinking is changing, and I don't fully understand why that is and how it is and how we deal with that. But it is changing, and it is hard. We've worked hard, and to build the party membership back up. That was one of Gerard's key aims, and he's doing that. But will we reach a ceiling? I'm not sure. Maybe. Even with, and I'm not being critical or anything, but we have a couple of sort of famous YouTubers who've got joined the party. Tommy Robinson is in the wings, but that hasn't resulted in huge increases in membership in the party. I don't know why. I don't know what the answer is, because the thinking was if you had these people on board, you would get it. But it hasn't come. And I'm not being critical of those people. That's not what I'm doing at all. But I'm saying that I don't think people go out and join political parties now as, there's something to do. The thinking is very different.
As I have to tell you, I'm a proud floating voter myself. I did actually join UKIP recently because I thought that a pragmatic decision, by the way, not one of any great loyalty to anybody, although I do I have to say, what this leader has been saying a lot more than the previous one, who would not have attracted my membership at all. Because frankly, I thought he was just like a conservative cabinet minister, Henry Bolton, to be honest with you. But this guy is actually talking about Brexit very, very responsibly, in my opinion, and saying things like, why on earth didn't we just repeal the ECA, for example, and stuff like that. Really talking about things fairly seriously. But so I do see that UKIP has a place to play to try and improve politics and to give us some sort of balance in the chamber without being like an absolute I'm a purple kind of a guy as such. But I wanted to ask you. So floating voters, I'm sure they are more and more common from personal experience, I would say. The question I was going to ask you though. Looking at that chamber, we had in that referendum 408 of 650 constituencies voted to leave the EU. That's 62.8%. A landslide in general election terms voted to leave. And yet we have such resistance as we see. And so, for example, you've got Yvette Cooper, who I mentioned earlier, Anna Soubry. Both of those, so arch remorons, frankly. But both of those characters, for example, 70% in both cases of their constituents voted to leave the EU. Now, I wonder, what is UKIP doing to try and make sure that those constituents in their constituencies know just how anti-representative, how non-representative, how anti-democratic are these MPs? Because it seems to me there needs to be a campaign, a concerted campaign to rid democracy from these usurpers.
Yeah. I think, there's no plans from UKIP as such. We don't even know, when the next general elections. Well, we do know when the next general election is going to be, but there could be a snap one. We don't know that. But
sure.
I do think that if there were to be a snap general election, and that would actually form the platform for many of the candidates going forward, and UKIP would obviously support them in doing so. In terms of running a campaign, I'm not sure UKIP has the funds to do something like that. I wish we did, but I don't think we do. But it is necessary. I don't know how these people are going to go back to their members locally and their constituents and square that circle, when they voted leave. It seems completely outrageous to me. But then I do believe that a lot of parliamentarians see Parliament as kind of a stepping stone. They're in there. Once they're in there, then it's lots of sort of opportunities here, there and everywhere. So if they don't get elected again, they've got some cushy little number set up somewhere to go to afterwards, probably for more money.
Aye, aye. Okay. Warren Whiteley, if Tommy started a party, he would beat UKIP and FARAGE. Stavros, politics changing. In what way exactly? I don't see it. Pamela Wright, get the DVP leader on then. Yeah, actually, John Rhys-Evans. I spoke to his colleague Gavin Felton just the other day, who is asking John Rhys-Evans if he will come on, and he's very welcome to pop on. He's been on this show a couple of times in the past. John, not as the DVP leader, I may say. John Middleton, finest financial services contract. I don't know what that's referring to. Ben, you have had a court case in the last week or so, have you not? Can you tell us basically what is, I think, at the end of this saga now, that was a bit of a problem for you during the leadership bid? No, but are you allowed to be a director of a company now? I don't know. I mean, what's the deal?
It's a story that was run by my local rag, if you like, by an avid Labour supporter. Yeah, there was an issue. There was a project that I was responsible for, and I got called out where there was an application for building regulations not put in before, works commenced before that started, and then we eventually ended the project and it wasn't finished, and then someone else has taken over, and the council have kind of, they just sort of threw the book at me, and I accepted that because it was wrong. There was nothing done, I didn't do anything wrong. There's no conviction. It's just a fine. It's not, I am the director of my company, I'm a director of UKIP. It doesn't change any of that. It's merely a fine for an infringement. That's all it is.
The Bristol Post online, they ran a headline along the lines of escapes prison or something like that, or manages to escape a prison term, sort of thing. I read the piece.
Exactly.
I read the piece. I saw that you got a fine for 11 grand. So it struck me that it wasn't really a prison. I'm wondering, and I'm not trying to sound as though I'm sucking up to my guest here. Yeah, not at all. I'm just wondering how much bias there is. There have been political squabbles. You originally were a Conservative councillor, were you not? Do you carry baggage that is kind of being used against you somehow, or should you be? Or should you be in prison? Should you not have escaped prison?
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, if you look at it's like anything. I mean, if you look at the legislation itself, if you were really doing something very, very serious, yeah, of course you could end up in prison. But that was never even. I wasn't even at court. I didn't have to go. It wasn't like that. It was just a hearing in my absence. I haven't even had a conviction. I've just received a fine. I mean, they have completely blown that story out of all proportion for their own. For their own sort of reasons, which I don't understand fully anyway. But unfortunately, I've received stuff like this before. It's part of the game. If you're involved in politics, even at my level, people just think you're fair game and they can say what they like about you, which is quite frankly wrong in some respects.
Okay.
But there you go.
Okay, fair enough. This is you run a construction company. You're a self-made man, and you've been fined for building regulations infringement. Is that correct? To be clear?
Yes.
Okay, fine. All right, no worries. Jennifer Bernard.
Just to say, you look at that story, they didn't even ask me for any comment.
Did they not? They also, for your information, I saw two different sources. Sent one today, and that was the one I mentioned. And they didn't mention your political affiliation or experience, or the fact that, for example, you're a mayor. They didn't mention any of that at all. None of it.
No.
They didn't mention UKIP at all. I thought it was incredible that they hadn't even Googled you. And
the second one did. They're part of the same group.
The second one did. Yeah, the second one did. But they got half of it wrong from what I saw.
Basically, yeah.
As well. But anyway, okay, fine. It has to be said, in fairness, you're not the treasurer of UKIP, are you? You're in charge of... I don't know that. Okay, but Jennifer Bernard, might be because you won't let Tommy join. If you did, the membership would boom. Ben, I like Gerard and hope he stands against Otherwise, people might drift away, as it's Gerard who takes people as he finds them, not judging what the awful media and government lies about Tommy. And to me, that shows a great leader. So please keep Gerard. So what do you say to that? What do you say to that, Ben?
Well, I mean, I was basically when we voted Henry Bolton out, I was one of the first supporters of Gerard. I thought, that he was the right choice for me. And I hope that if Gerard does decide to stand again, that he gets a fair crack of the whip, and I think he will. I mean, he's a really nice guy. And what your last caller, well, not sorry, the caller, the message, they're absolutely right. He does take people as he finds them. There's nothing wrong with that, and I'm fully supportive of that. But it's up to him. It's in his gift if he stands or not. I mean, I kind of I hope he does. So yeah, people have the opportunity then, don't they? They vote him in.
Very simple question from Stavros. Does UKIP have a whip? As I don't see how you can be remotely democratic with one. Ben?
No whip exists. I mean, there's, in Brussels, which is kind of different now because obviously we've depleted in numbers of MEPs, but there was obviously that's kind of existed, but it's not like that with UKIP. We don't run whips locally in Wales or anything like that. It's all, there might be pre-meetings where members will discuss certain issues, but effectively there are no whips, and the guy's quite right. You can't really be democratic if that is what you're doing.
Thomas White, the DVP would only divide the voters, and we would end up with the Conservatives or the Labour Party back in number 10. That's Thomas White's opinion. John Middleton, finest part speech known. What it say to you? Tom Flynn, you will get Labour and Tory regardless. But at local council level, DVP do really good with a fantastic ground game, it seems, coming second, beating establishment parties. Do you think that UKIP could work with the DVP, as has been mooted, as I understand it? Ben?
Well, I mean, the DVP were essentially UKIPers anyway, who obviously John Rhys-Evans left when he failed in the leadership election in 2017. So he decided to set up a new party. I don't think it was a...
He said it was because he wanted to continue pursuing direct democracy, and that was the reason that he was nonetheless leaving UKIP at the time with Affinity, and then that fell through, and then with the DVP.
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I mean, there's no reason that we can't work with these people because they were essentially members beforehand, as the same with John. And it's a shame. Like we have sort of we've splintered in this way, and we have these smaller groups that have been set up. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the door's always open. We need to be working together.
What about with Marianne Walters? What about with Britain First as well? I mean, Gerard Batten has said absolutely no. He's not interested in stretching out to Marianne, no, and yet he's stretched out to Tommy Robinson, and they seem to have very, very similar concerns.
Well, as far as I'm aware, Tommy was a supporter of Anne-Marie Walters before UKIP, so I don't know. Maybe there's something that's happened in the background there that we don't know about. Who knows? I don't. But there is a problem with Britain First because they are a prescribed group. Constitutionally, we can't accept people who have been members of that party. Same with the EDL, which is again, and the BNP. These are some of the issues that surround Tommy because he's been in both of those. So. I think Gerard is fully supportive of the Constitution. He's never shown me anything otherwise. But yeah, I can't answer the question, I'm afraid, with for Britain. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why there is some sort of resistance on that front.
The bottom line, is it not, though, is that we do need all of us, surely, to be thinking beyond party lines and to be trying somehow to reach out. Otherwise, it seems to me that we're just being divided ruled, and we're not going to get Brexit. We're not going to get to keep our sovereignty. We're going to lose it.
I think that's the real fear, and you know, like I said earlier, you know, when we won the vote, the campaign stopped, and you know what the Remainiacs have done, if they've kind of carried on, they didn't stop, and I think that's proved to be a problem for us. For some reason, we've never been able to unite around one group. You know, you've got Leave Means Leave now, but you know, again, that not everybody supports them, and I don't know what the answer is to this, and I don't know if all of these groups and, you know, our party, if we'd ever unite around one group. But you're right. I mean, if we don't do something, you know, the reality is pretty grave, isn't it? If it all goes wrong.
Ben Walker, thank you, sir. You've been tuned into the Daily Brexit with me, Olly Connelly, and a cold, yeah. Oh, blimey, and a fader problem. I want to say a big cheers to Ben Walker for coming on a second time this week after the technical tumult of Monday. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, sir. On the NEC with UKIP. And I'll tell you, I'm looking at the comments here, and there is so much division. There's clearly so much division. Everybody pretty much. I've got to tell you, Ben, everybody pretty much hates everybody else, and there doesn't seem to be enough pulling together for Brexit. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And again, you know, that just goes to highlight the point, doesn't it? You know, people can't put anything aside other than their own feelings, you know, and it's much more important than that.
I really do hope, and I have to say that UKIP, in my mind's eye, has got a big role to play with this. You guys on the NEC, who I don't entirely trust, Ben, yeah? I mean, don't get me wrong, because, I mean, well, you gave us Henry Bolton for a start back in the day. You're at the NEC. But my point is that we have to somehow reach out now. We have to pull these disparate groups together and not allow ourselves to be played like a bloody orchestra, no?
Absolutely right. And if you've got any ideas, Ollie, then please tell me them offline. I'm all ears.
Oh, mate. Oh, no. I wouldn't go that far. I tell you, one thing I do think is that we really need to target these MPs whose constituents voted for something or other, and actually it doesn't matter what, and then the MP is going against what they wanted, whether it's Remain or Brexit. It seems to me that the constituents should be represented, no?
Absolutely right. And for me, it's all this war of attrition, isn't it? If we drag it out, people will forget. And I really hope that people won't forget, because if Brexit isn't delivered, I hope that these shysters are, you know, people vote with their feet and they actually get rid, because that's the only way we're ever going to break this down. But they can't. I really hope that they don't let people down on this, because it would just be, it would be devastation. It would just be so bad. We need Brexit to happen. We need to be out on WTO. I mean, unfortunately, I would have liked a deal beforehand, like everybody. If we could have organised a deal, brilliant. But let's get out and let's try and organise a deal afterwards.
Ben Walker, thank you very much. Good evening, sir. Thank you.